And so when I say Chinese, I want you to scream out the nation that's associated with this. For example, if I say Chinese, you're going to say what?
China.
All right, let's say it with authority. When I say Chinese, you say what?
China.
All right, that's just a test right there. So here we go. Chinese.
China.
Russian.
Russia.
Italian.
Italy.
German.
Germany.
Swedish.
Sweden.
Korean.
Korea.
Egyptian.
Egypt.
Nigerian.
Nigeria.
Black.
Exactly. Nothing. Tell him, Pastor. Tell him, Pastor. Black, nothing.
I hope you were able to successfully identify the issue.
The lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. They want us to sell our souls to barter profit. Like God's property, it's hard to market. So we steady to aim, keep your eyes on target. Cause when you got to drive, yeah, they'd rather you park it. But I don't valet, you ain't getting these keys. I'm keeping closed hands, I'm on bended knee. I'm just a reflection, dealing with 8 sections. Art mixed with life, you can feel the convection. Your lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said the lion won't sleep tonight. 'Cause we woke now, and we woke now. I said
the same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black. And the vernacular that
You know what you are? You're an ancient Israelite.
Ancient is there. That's who we are. That's who we are. So if you give me time, if you give me time, all that he said.
No, we don't have.
So many years.
I know. Look at this. This is pages and pages of
Yes.
notes. And I promise we'll give more teaching. But here is my challenge to you.
All right.
I'm hearing some of your traditions. It's like the days of the Bible.
Yes.
Do you want to remain ancient Israelites, or you want to be Jews? Do you want to?
Oh, Miss Sophia.
No, Miss Sophia, no.
So we're supposed to we're just being told that anti-Semitism is now criticizing Israel. Anti-Semitism is anything they want it to be. They can't even define it. They admit in this bill that they've passed through the House that there's really truly no actual protection for Jews, but they're just making it up as they go because they want to say, well, but Semites, which we shouldn't even be using that word anymore because most Jews who practice the religion of Judaism or who are culturally Jewish, even if they don't practice the Jewish religion, but they're culturally Jewish, like many are culturally Christian. Many of us celebrate Christmas, but we're not Christian. That's cultural Christianity. It is what it is, right? They can't define it. They're putting all these rules on us. We shouldn't even allow them to use the term anti-Semitism. It's not real. Most of these Jews are not Semites.
And then we're told, well, what we do here in Palestine, or as they call it, the land of Israel, is, we've returned. We have a legitimacy because we used to be here and now we're back. But that doesn't really stand any kind of serious test either. I don't know any Jewish person anywhere that can trace their roots back to the ancient Hebrews. I don't think anybody like that exists. We know Palestinians in refugee camps and elsewhere have the deeds to their land and the keys to their home. I know no one Jew in the world or Jewish family in the world that can do that. So how could we claim that we were once there when we have absolutely no way to show that? We have nothing. So we're not really from there. we're not really natives. I mean, we're certainly not Palestinians, most of us.
It's going to be the first woman president. And that's incredibly exciting. And, she's Indian, she's black, she's everything. You can be more than one thing. It's incredible. I'm Jewish and Irish. I wish I was black. Every white Jewish guy wishes he was black. Every white Jewish guy wishes he was black.
Every white Jewish guy wishes he was black.
You would not influence me. I am my own person. I am a strong black woman.
Hitler was, and the Nazis, of course, expanded on Margaret Sanger's approach to eugenics, right? Eugenics was a movement that was born in the United States under hard doctrines of racism with the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African-American community in this country, right? To eliminate them. With the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African-American community in this country, right? To eliminate them.
With the intent of eliminating the tribe of Judah in the African-American community in this country, right? To eliminate them.
You see, the Bible makes a distinction, Mr. President, between two groups of Jews. One is called the synagogue of Satan. There's two different kinds. And those people, in the latter days, it's called the remnant of God's people, which will be Jewish people. And then there's the synagogue of Satan. And nearly all of your religious deceptions in the latter days, what the Bible speaks, latter days can be 1,000 years, what they call the synagogue of Satan. In other words, they are energized by a supernatural power called the devil. This is what the Bible teaches, whether you believe it or don't believe it. This is the biblical teaching, and this is what I believe. And I believe that they have a strange brilliance about them. They're smart, and they are energized, in my judgment, by a supernatural power.
Well, also they do something else. They're not smart.
And you see, of course, Hitler didn't. They had a stranglehold on Germany, on the banking of Germany, on everything in Germany, and the media. They had the whole thing, you see. But he went about it wrong. But this stranglehold has got to be broken, or this country is going to go down the drain.
Today, it is prohibited, and you can Google this, to do a DNA test in Israel. Totally forbidden. Wrong. It's illegal. It's a crime. You'll be jailed if you do a DNA test in Israel. Why? Because they know the truth will come out. You come from Poland, you come from Ukraine, you came from Europe, you came from everywhere else. And they were the original Middle Eastern Jews who lived together with the Muslims and the Christians for centuries. For centuries. So what happened to a lot of the Jews?
This story begins in October 1949, 1 year after Israel's formation. This is when Netanyahu was born, the second child of a historian. His paternal grandfather was a rabbi and a Zionist writer. His name was Nathan Milikowski. Later in life, he Hebraized his surname from Milikowski to Netanyahu, a name which means God has given.
This is Yair Netanyahu's DNA test that has been leaked. You can see right there his Y DNA is RM198. Descendants of RM198 come from Poland, Russia, Germany, and other European countries. Does this look Semitic to you? Does this look Middle Eastern?
And don't you black people ever forget one thing. And don't you black people ever forget one thing. The man that helped Jesus carry that cross was a black man. And don't ever forget another thing. Jesus belongs to Africa as much as he does to Europe and Asia. He was born in that part of the world that touches Africa and Asia and Europe, and Jesus was not a white man like me, nor was he as black as some of you. We don't know what the color of his skin, but it must have been a dark color like the people of his day, because he was a man like them.
It does not matter what color Jesus was. What matters is that he came to the earth, lived a perfect life, died a death for the sins of the world, and then conquered the grave, proving that he is the Son of God. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
It just doesn't matter. 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 It just doesn't matter.
Oh, Miss Sophia. No, Miss Sophia, no!
Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you. If you repeat this fact, they can't laugh at you.
I want to say peace and blessings to everyone. Let me adjust my camera here. I know I've been really occupied with a number of other things going on. Had family come in, so really been preoccupied with that. Want to apologize to you guys for not for getting my days mixed up. I know I was supposed to go live last night, but I did a video upload. But we'll get back in sync, get back on track. And we have a lot to cover, family. We have a lot to cover, you know, especially this whole thing with the Red Heifer. And I want to tell you guys, it is a complete lie, the way that it's being taught. I mean, you know, to really see how the Catholic Church has done our community, the lies and the paganism, you know, that it's that they use through syncretism to mesh with Christianity, Catholicism. It is the same thing that you see with Judaism. It's the same thing that you see with Islam. And I've stated this a number of times that, you know, none of our people should be embracing any of these so-called Abrahamic faiths. Fact of the matter is, Abraham did not create Christianity. Abraham did not create Catholicism. Abraham did not create Judaism. Abraham did not create Islam. Christ did not create Christianity, nor did he practice Christianity. Christ did not create Judaism, nor did Christ practice Judaism. Christ did not create Islam, nor did Christ create Islam. All those religious institutions enslaved the true people of the book. All right. So I just want to preface this lesson by just making that statement. And also, I want to kind of put something at rest, because sometimes we can, you know, really hold on to cognitive dissonance, Stockholm syndrome, without even realizing it, you know. So I want to just share this clip again real quick, and we're going to get into the lesson. I'm going to share this clip, you know, because some, you know, by the responses, really think that this is cute. Let me play it right now.
You are not influence me. I am my own person. I am a strong black woman.
I know some of you guys probably would look at that video and see that the humor and that is so cute, you know, because hey, it's a basically a baby, a toddler saying that she is a strong black woman. But let me say this: what's cute today is tomorrow's strongholds when that seed germinates. You know, like that woman who managed to go to an HBCU. She went to Howard University, got her undergrad, and she also graduated with her master's from Howard University. Then she ended up being in a leadership position, a high executive position with the NAACP. Caucasian woman, stating that she's black. And even to this day, she says that she knows that she's a black woman, even though she has, you know, no connection DNA wise, bloodline wise, to our community. So I say this, just from a perspective of not to throw shade at anyone in particular, but we need to stop promoting this type of behavior. I say it again. It's cute today. Once that seed germinate, strongholds tomorrow. Like some of the parents, I grew up in Jersey, Newark, New Jersey, lived in a number of different rough neighborhoods, like living in Detroit. I'm not going to get into all of that. But some, when their kids are like 4, and they may say a curse word, oh, that's cute. Or they may do dances that they shouldn't do. Oh, that's cute. Looking a certain way, making the girls and boys look a certain way to be in these beauty pageants. Oh, that's cute. But what happens when that seed germinate 10 years from now? The very things that you're saying is cute today is tomorrow's strongholds when those seeds germinate. That same boy, that same kid that many of you guys are thinking that is cute because he's being a little rough and, he's trying to be bossy and all that other stuff at the age of 4. But what happens when he's at the age of 16? So let's not promote this behavior and think that what I share with you, that clip stating that is cute. To me, there's nothing cute about that video. And actually that little girl, and it's not even the little girl, it's the parents, because I can tell you that it's the parents that are teaching that little girl. I want to say shout outs to Shael, Newark, New Jersey, 16th Avenue. Oh, come on. I know where you're at. Now, 16th Avenue stretch upwards, stretch down. Are you near Avon Avenue? Are you over by Springfield Avenue? Or are you closer to Littleton Avenue, Bergen Street area? What area, whereabouts is 16th Avenue? I'm from around the way, man. That's my stomping grounds. Actually, anyway, I'm not going to get into all that, but anyway, family, there's nothing cute about that. There's nothing cute about Bill, what's his name? Ben Stiller. He made it clear that not just himself, but other men in his community want to be us. And it's obvious that they want to be us. Let me play that real quick, and then we're going to get into this lie here, and then we can kind of shoot the breeze for a little bit, because this is pretty simple to debunk this whole Red Heifer. All right, let me play this real quick.
It's going to be the first woman president, and that's incredibly exciting. And, she's Indian, she's Black, she's everything. You can be more than one thing. It's incredible. I'm Jewish and Irish. I wish I was Black. Every white Jewish guy wishes he was Black. Every white Jewish guy wishes he was Black.
Every white Jewish guy wishes he was Black.
He made it clear. Every Jewish guy wish that they can be us. Wish they can be Black, but they don't want our experience. We can be clear about that. Shout outs to author Candace Phillips Anderson. Thank you for the love and support. Family, let's show some love to the author, Candace Phillips Anderson. Really appreciate the love and support. Thank you again, sis. Really appreciate it. So, family, like I said, they want to be us. They want our attributes, but they don't want to deal with the experience that we have to deal with as a people. All right. I see you, Yasha L. Yeah, 16th Avenue, Grove Street. I know where you at. Know where you at, West Side Park. Yeah, that's you up the hill, close to, kind of like on the borderline of Newark and East Orange. I know where you at. I know you're at. Trust me, I know where you're at. Lived over on right off of South Orange Avenue. Oh, I know where you're at. Trust me, I know where you're at. Just past, a little further up from the Pappas Brewery Company. That old beer bottle, giant beer bottle. that's there. I know it's shut down, but anyway, shout outs to you, Brick City in the house. So, family, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go ahead and put to rest this lie here, because I know some of you guys have posted and also sent me emails about really going a little deeper with the Red Heifer to debunk this. So I'll go ahead and do you one. I'll go ahead and do you one here. We're going to knock down this doctrine. So let's deal with the Red Heifer. Let's deal with the Red Heifer. All right. So the Red Heifer deception. Let's start off with Jeremiah chapter 10, starting at verse 1. Really want to highlight verse 1 through 3. This is coming from the Tanakh. Let's see what the Tanakh says. It says, "Hear the word of Yahweh has spoken to you." Let me say it again. Hear the word which Yahweh has spoken to you, O house of Israel. Thus saith Yahweh, do not learn to go the way of the nations, and do not be dismayed by their portents in the sky. Let the nations be dismayed by them. Verse 3, for the laws of the nations are delusions. Let me say that again. For the laws of the nations are delusions. For it is the work of a craftsman's hand. He cuts down a tree and a forest with an axe. Tree worship. That's what this is. Groves. But nevertheless, the laws of the nations are delusions. And let me just highlight a stern warning that Apostle Paul had given in 2 Timothy, starting at chapter 4. Let's read a stern warning that he gave here. All right. And it reads, I charge thee therefore before Yahweh and Adonai Yahweh Shai Hamashiach. In other words, the Lord Jesus Christ. That's what this transliterates to. Who shall judge the quick and the dead at his appearing and his kingdom. Preach the word. Be instant in season, out of season. Reprove, rebuke, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. For the time will come when they will not endure sound doctrine, but after their own lust shall they heap to themselves, having itching ears. Verse 4. And they shall turn away their hearts from the truth and shall be turned unto fables. Highlight that in your scriptures. Fables, mutos. Let me read it again. And they shall turn away their ears from the truth and shall be turned unto fables. But watch thou in all things, endure afflictions, do the work of an evangelist, make full proof of thy ministry. So let's look up the word fable from a Greek perspective. Let's see what this word fable means. We see here mutos, a tale, an example, fiction, in other words, myth. But here's the key. Entry number 1, an invention, a falsehood. So Apostle Paul is giving the warning not to get caught up in these fables, these fictional stories, these tales, these inventions. So again, fable, mutos, is an invented story, a falsehood. That's what it means. So what is the prophecy of the red heifer? Because I'm sure every last one of you guys that heard this before, that as part of end time prophecy, that the red heifer is connected to the rebuilding or the building of the third temple. There's nothing biblical about that. There is nothing biblical about that prophecy. That is a bunch of made up stuff by name stealers. That's all it is. It is a fable. It is an invention. But let me prove it. Let me prove it. What is the prophecy of the red heifer? Let's go to Numbers chapter 19, verse 2, and let's see if this is really a prophecy. It reads, this is the ordinance of which the law which Yahweh hath commanded, saying, speak unto the children of Israel, that they bring thee a red Adamah heifer parah without spot, tham yam. This is in the Israeli, you say tamim, right? Thamayam or tham yam, which transliterates to the word perfect. Also, as we see here, without spot. And we're going to go into these words here, but again, that they bring thee a red heifer without spot, tham yam or thamayam, wherein is no blemish, mawam, and upon which never came yoke. So this is not a prophecy, family. This is actually, as you see here, this is a law. This is a commandment. These are instructions for what? Well, we're gonna get proper clarity by the time we get to the end of this lesson. So the offering of the red heifer is a red female cow. But guess what, family? Does that look like the color of red on your screen? Let me say that again. Does this look like a red cow? If it looks like a red cow on your screen, type 1. If it looks like if it looks like something else, type 2. Matter of fact, you guys know how I like to do this. Haven't done this in a while. Been a couple of weeks since I actually had the privilege of doing a live with you guys. So let me go ahead and create a. Let me go ahead and create a. Let me switch over. Did I bring my phone down here? Okay. Let me create a poll here. All right. All right, let's try this now. I'm going to create a poll. All right, let me pull this up here. Bear with me 1 second, family. It's moving a little slow. All right, let's see here. All right. All right, let's start this poll. All right, what color is this female cow? Let's see here. Red, brown, all right, here's the options. All right, so we have, looks like this late night, we have almost 500 people in the building. Really appreciate it just to have this amount, this amount of subscribers, or should I say this amount of people watching tonight, especially with this being an untimed, unscheduled live. Truly a blessing. So I thank you guys for the love and support. All right, so let's see the answers here. So far, we have over 44 votes. Let's see if we can get at least 100 votes here. And, what color is this cow? Is it a red cow? Is it a brown cow? Right? If you say copper, that still falls up under brown, right? That's copper is brown. Okay, so is this a red cow or is this a brown cow? Right? Makes me think of, Tribe Called Quest, the brown cow scenario. So what color is this cow? Is it red? Is it brown? See, family, this is why it's good to have visuals, because when we say red, you're going to think that this cow is going to look what? Red. When you see that the description of let's just say, King David, or the description of Solomon the king, or Esau, when you look at the word ruddy, many will just default to the color red and think that red transliterates to Caucasian. But here we see a brown cow. And what's the Hebrew word there? Adamah. Let's rewind it. What is the color of this cow here? Let's go to the previous verse here. You see Adamah transliterates to the word red. But we have to put this in its proper perspective. So the offering of the red heifer is supposedly a red cow, right? And so far we have 90 people that participated, 10 short. If we could get it up to 100, that'd be great. But thank you guys for your participation. Let's look up the Hebrew dictionary definition of this word Adamah, because this is where you get the word Adam. This is where you get the word Adam Ni, or Adam Nai, or Adamah Wanai. I'm saying it in ancient Hebrew, that last pronunciation. But we see here Adamah, it says soil, earth, ground. So tell me, especially when we're looking at the soil in that region, that soil is not red like you would think of, like a Caucasian person, like someone that's melanin challenged, so to speak. So we see here ground, land, again, earth, ground, soil from its general redness. No, we should be saying brown, dark brown. So Adamah, it means red like the soil. That's what we are told. It means red at the like the soil, which leads me to the word ruddy. What does the word ruddy mean? It says rosy, it says red, it says ruddy. Then it used the example of red, ruddy. Of course, in this example, in the parentheses, notice what we see here: man, horse. But we see heifer. Of course, we see lentils. But the key, since we're dealing with the red heifer, actually it should be what? The brown heifer. So we can look at this cow and actually get the accuracy of exactly what ruddy is, right? So if we go back here, let's go back here. It gave us the example of looking at this cow here. Now, what group of people skin complexion is closer to this? I can tell you it's not Caucasians. I can tell you when you look at the Negro, we come in all kinds of shades, but this is brown. Put your hand up near that screen. And guess what? This image right here is lighter. So it'll be darker than what you see here. It's not red like a Caucasian person, because then it'll be basically closer to like a white or pink cow. No offense to anyone. I'm not saying that to insult anyone. But show me how many, when we look at the Caucasians, the white race, so to speak, of today, do you see this pigmentation? Them looking like this when you see the word ruddy? Esau was not this color. I mean, as far as the color of being an albino, Esau was as you see here, he was brown skinned, dark skinned. He was melanated. The key to Esau, and the reason why they placed a point of emphasis on his skin being healthy, is because he was unusually hairy all over. But let's go to get into it. Let's continue. Adamah means red like the soil. And as we saw here with ruddy, one of the examples it gives us is the heifer. You guys remember this right here. Just a little refresher on some of this. And when we look at the Webster Unabridged Dictionary, 1913, right, the key is what we're really highlighting is number 2, of a lively flesh color, or the color of human skin in high health. So it's described as being what? A complement of a healthy, beautiful skin. But let's take it a step further. Let's go to Genesis chapter 25, verse 25. And the first came out red, Adamawanai, or Adamnai, all over like an hairy garment. So a hairy garment. Well, let's go back here. Wouldn't this brown cow be considered hairy? A hairy garment? Come on, family. Wouldn't that cow be considered? And of course, they shave the hair of this cow like a hairy garment, right? That's the visuals should help you put things in its proper perspective. All right. So when we go back to Esau, and the first came out red, Adamawanai, like the ground, red or brown like the ground, all over like an hairy garment. And they called his name Esau or Ishaw. Was Esau a white man? No, absolutely not. Esau was not a white man. Now, I know some of you guys, hold on to this, and no offense to you guys, but I know some of you guys will hold on to this thing, believing that Esau, hey, he's the white man. Oh, Esau came out white. And the poor pictures that you see circulating that, hey, like Esau is the father of or the progenitor of the Caucasians, which that is the furthest thing from the truth. So I know some of you guys, this can mess up with some of you guys' understanding of who Esau is. I'm not saying that Esau, some of his descendants did not mix with other nations, right? But guess what? They're still Esau, descendants of Esau that look like you and I. And I know some of you guys are ready to, are looking at the screen, ready to do this.
Oh, Miss Sophia. No, Miss Sophia, no!
Right? I know. I mean, some people really go to the extreme with that. Right? So again, I see someone say Middle Eastern. Nah, let's reject this Middle Eastern. Right? Because that Middle Eastern still plays into the deception of what's been pushed by both the Jewish community as we know them and the Islamic community, starting with these Arabs. The church pushed that stuff. Oh, he looks Middle Eastern. No, Middle East is actually Northeast Africa. And when you say Middle Eastern, you're saying he looks like what you see today, the Arabs that you see there today, the Turkish people that you see there today, which Israel did not look like them. The Egyptians did not look like them. That's all part of an invasion that took place on the territory. So no, he wasn't Middle Eastern. Let's erase that from our vocabulary, because when you say Middle Eastern, that is synonymous to saying that he was olive, because that was the other thing that they said. They also would say Mediterranean. What is Mediterranean? These are the scriptures that those that want to be us came up with to remove a specific group of people from being connected to the Negro, so to speak. Because the ancient Egyptians had such an advanced civilization. Oh, they want to hijack that for themselves. The Sumerians had an advanced civilization. They want to hijack that history for themselves. Anything that seemed to be an advanced civilization, especially when it comes to the Negro, guess what? They want to hijack it. So let's take that whole Middle Eastern description out of the vocabulary. Let's take it out of the vocabulary. Esau was not a Caucasian. So let me prove this here. Let's look at the definition of ruddy. right? And this is where we have to kick out this poor doctrine among our community, right? Because if you're saying that Esau is the white man, then now what you're saying is the white man is Hebrew. What about the descendants of Japheth? You're saying that the white man is Hebrew. Now you're pushing indirectly a false narrative. So look at Ruddy. Ruddy, this is coming from the International Standard Bible Encyclopedia, 1915, around the same time as that Webster Unabridged Dictionary. It says Ruddy is the form taken by the adjective. Excuse me, guys. Had to clear my throat. Ruddy is the form taken by the adjective red when used as a term of praise of the human skin. And this is its use in the Bible. The Hebrew and Greek words are all usual words for red or to be red. But here's the kicker. The dark-skinned Hebrews found great beauty and a clear complexion. I don't know how many times I have to keep saying this. I have to say this over and over again. The dark-skinned Hebrews, let me say this again. I may have to even do this in slow-mo. The dark-skinned Hebrews found great beauty in a clear complexion. Let me say it in slow motion for some of you guys. The dark-skinned Hebrews found great beauty and a clear complexion. For the people in the back.
Oh, Miss Sophia. No, Miss Sophia, no!
Come on, family. We gotta let go of some of this poor doctrine. Overall, Esau did not become the white man. That's just like saying, hey, some of Israel mixed and mingled with the Canaanites, but that doesn't make Israel Canaanite. So a lot of the Israelites mixed and meshed with some of the Syrians. Doesn't mean that Israel became the Syrians. We have to put things in its proper perspective. All right. So again, the dark-skinned Hebrews found great beauty in a clear complexion. Let's continue. Right. So the brown heifer had to be without spot. It had to be without any spot or any blemish. Let me say that again. The brown heifer, not the red heifer, the brown cow. I'm about to maybe go scenario, right? True blue, Scooby-Doo. Anyway, but the brown heifer had to be without spot. It had to be without spot or blemish. So again, it had to be without any spot or blemish. So this is the word thamayam that I mentioned earlier, tamim, which transliterates to the word integrity, the word truth, without blemish, complete, full, perfect, sincerity, without spot, undefiled, whole. We see here uprightly, unimpaired, having integrity. Guess what, family? Christ told us that we had to be perfect. He said the Father is perfect, and we have to what? Be perfect. That is a law from Yah himself that we are supposed to be perfect. And this is the attributes of being perfect. Now you guys see the scriptures when it tells us that Christ is coming back for and his people, not the church. I don't want to say church, back for his called out people without spot or blemish. That means being perfect. That's right. I know I'm going to ruffle up some feathers by me saying we're not dealing with the church. Christ is not coming back for a church. He's coming back for the called out witnesses of the house of Israel. Let me say that again. He's coming back for the called out assembly of witnesses of the house of Israel. That's who he's coming coming back for. All right. And guess what? You have to be perfect. If anyone tells you that you cannot be perfect, or if you have connected or embraced that lie that you are not perfect and no one can be perfect, send them my way. Send them my way, because they won't have a leg to stand on. They will not have a leg to stand on.
Challenge!
Come on, family. I challenge anyone who will tell you that we're not supposed to be perfect. Paul even taught that we had to be perfect. The disciples taught that we had to be perfect. That is part of Torah. Noah was perfect. Abraham was perfect. Now, I know some of you guys are trying to probably ask the question, how can you be perfect if you have sinned? Guess what? Learn what the word means. It's on your screen. Come on, family. Start with integrity. Biblical integrity. That's what it means. Biblical integrity. That's in sync with the attributes of the Holy Spirit. Anyway, let me continue, family. So let's go to Numbers chapter 19, starting at verse 10. Let's continue to deal with this red heifer. It says, and he that gathereth the ashes of the heifer shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. And it shall be unto the children of Israel and unto the stranger that sojourneth among them for a statute forever. Verse 11, he that toucheth the dead body of any man shall be unclean 7 days. He shall purify himself with it on the third day, and on the seventh day he shall be clean. But if he purify not himself the third day, the seventh day he shall not be clean. Now, do you guys see anything about a red heifer being used for the building of any of the temples? I'm going to prove that that's an absolute lie, because this law of the red heifer has been given. It was given to Israel while they were in the wilderness, while they were still worshiping in the tabernacles. Now, do you guys see anything in this text that tells you or gives you the slightest glimpse or inclination that this is dealing with the rebuilding of a temple? You don't see anything. This is not even a prophecy. This is actually the law on how to, and I'm going to explain this more, but how to become clean. But the key, why? We're going to get there in a second. So the offering of the brown heifer was instituted by Yahweh for a good reason. Why? If a person sinned while the Israelites were marching along, Moses, he could not stop the march in his tracks, put up a tabernacle, and then go through the ritual of approaching Yahweh for forgiveness through the substitute sacrifice. But it wasn't just for this here, but it went even further. And we're going to deal with it. It's in the scriptures. I gave you the law of it, but we're going to explain it. So the brown heifer ashes were necessary for the purification rites, right? Held in the temple. Or the tabernacle, not held for the tabernacle. It was held in the tabernacle. Let me say that again. In many cases, they didn't put up the tabernacle to go through the purification rites. Let me say that again. The brown heifer's ashes were necessary for the purification rites held in the tabernacle. In many cases, without the tabernacle even being put up while they were en route. But many have regarded the appearance of a red heifer today as heralding the construction of the third temple and the return of Christ, right? Return of Christ, or return of the sacrifices. But excuse me for the typo, should have been return of Christ, because I know we talk about the sacrifices, what Revelations talk about the sacrifices and all that. Not getting into that, but we should have the word Christ here. Excuse the typo. Matter of fact, let me fix this right now. Didn't catch it. But I want to make it clear, family. The red heifer has nothing to do with the third temple. That is a hustle. That is an absolute lie. That is not biblical. You will not find a single text that tells you that the red heifer is connected to the rebuilding of the temple. You won't find it. So let me correct this here. All right, that's how I wanted to read. That's better. That's more accurate. So the brown heifer ashes were necessary for the purification rites held in the tabernacle, not for the tabernacle. But many have regarded the appearance of a red heifer today as heralding the construction of the third temple and the return of Christ. But let's go ahead and continue. How does this connect to the third temple? I gave you the answer, family. But how does this connect with the third temple? How does this connect to the Messiah? Let me tell you this. It doesn't. The red heifer, for us, that so-called prophecy, has nothing to do with the temple, has nothing to do with the second coming of Christ. And I can tell you that this prophecy is not accurate, right? So this prophecy, as I said, it has nothing to do with Christ, has nothing to do with the rebuilding of the temple, right? Ezra, the prophet Nehemiah, they did not discuss they discussed the rebuilding of the second temple, but they do not mention the use of a red heifer in relations to the second temple's construction or dedication. Man, I don't know what I was doing with these typos, man. Let me correct this slide. This slide it's brutal. Let me correct this slide, man. All right, let me correct this slide. So it doesn't. Ezra and Nehemiah discuss the rebuilding of the second temple. All right, that's better. All right, so again, the question that I asked, how does this connect to the third temple? How does this connect to the Messiah? Is this prophecy accurate? And guess what, family? It doesn't tie into any of this. This is a false prophecy. And the scriptures are big on false prophecy in terms of discerning false prophecies. So Ezra and Nehemiah, they discuss the rebuilding of the second temple, but they do not mention the use of a red heifer in relation to the second temple's construction or dedication. Guess what? The book of Maccabees, right? The book of Maccabees, you see a rededication of the temple, but you don't see anything mentioned about a red heifer. So the books of Maccabees, which details the Hasmonean revolt and the rededication of the temple, also do not mention the red heifer. That's a fact, family. Nowhere where you start when you read the Maccabees and it deals with the Feast of Dedication, you don't see anywhere about them getting a red heifer and sacrificing a red heifer. That's teaching another scripture. That is teaching another Christ. That is teaching another Torah. Wait a minute. A different Torah, another Torah that's not connected to the Most High, which is called the Talmud, which is the Mishnah. That literature that is not biblical. It's anti-Torah. Cedric, don't get caught up in the minors. Don't get caught up in the minors. Why is Donnie McClurkin's face used on the questions of slides, don't get caught up in the minors. That is a minor question. Come on now. We're teaching something that's well above a picture. In other words, if you go back and look at some of my presentations, you'll see why Donnie McClurkin's face is up on there, just like I use other images. So let's not major in the minors. What does that have to do with anything that we teach? Ask a question about the red heifer. Man, I tell you, family, sometimes we could just take things and just run with it way out into the left field. Focus on exactly what we're teaching tonight. And moderators, if you see questions like this, to me, just remove it. So the book of Maccabees, which details the Hasmonean revolt and the rededication of the temple, also do not mention the red heifer. All right, let's continue here. Josephus, well-known Israelite historian from back during the time when the temple was still standing. Josephus, an Israelite historian who documented the Second Temple period, do not mention the existence of the red heifer ritual during this time, this dedication of the red heifer. There's nothing in his writing that refers to the red heifer in the sense of connection to the temple being clean, or the temple being built, or the temple. You don't see anything. You don't see him making any type of mentioning of this or suggestions of this. So, however, though, Josephus does connect the ritual of the ritual to the temple's construction. Wait, let me. I'm all over the place tonight. Let me read this again. Josephus does not connect the ritual to the temple's construction or to any requirements for the maintenance of it. Let me say that again. However, Josephus does not connect the ritual of the temple's construction to or to any requirement for the maintenance of it. Let me go back again just to make sure that I'm not messing this up, because I'm all over the place reading these slides. I don't know if it's because it's late, whatever. So Josephus, an Israelite who documented the Second Temple, he do mention the existence of the red heifer ritual during this time. Let me make that clear. He mentions the ritual of the red heifer during this time, but guess what? Josephus does not connect the ritual to the temple's construction or to any requirement for the maintenance of it. All right, so this is going to Josephus' works. This is the Antiquity of the Jews, Book 4, Chapter 4, Section 6, right? And this is where we at. I'm going to read it here, and you will not see him make mention of the red heifer along the lines of dedicating of a temple or anything like that. But notice what he actually explain about the red heifer, which we just read out of the book of Numbers, that actually gives clarity of exactly what the red heifer is used for. Notice what it says here. It says, then it was that Miriam, the sister of Moses, came to her end, having completed her 40th year, since she left Egypt on the first day of the lunar month, Xanthias, or not Thanksgiving, I'm butchering the name, Xanthicus. Right? Let me say it again. Xanthicus. Let me read that portion again. On the first day of the lunar month, Xanthicus, they then made a public funeral for her at a great expense. She was buried upon a certain mountain, which they call Sen. And when they had mourned her for 30 days, Moses purified the people after this manner. He brought a heifer that had never been used to the plow or to husbandry. In other words, bread that was complete in all its parts, no blemishes, and entirely of a red color. At a distance, and we know that red is brown, right? At a little distance from the camp, into a place perfectly clean. This heifer was slain by the high priest, and her blood sprinkled with his finger 7 times before the tabernacle of God. After this, the entire heifer was burnt in that state, together with its skin and entrails, and they threw cedar wood and hyssop and scarlet wood into the midst of the fire. Then a clean man gathered all her ashes and laid them in a place perfectly clean. When therefore any persons were defiled by a dead body, they put a little of these ashes into spring water with hyssop, and dipping part of these ashes in it, they sprinkled them with it, both on the third day and on the seventh day, and after that they were clean. This he enjoined them to do also when the tribes should come into their own land. So guess what, family? Josephus did not mention anything about a temple. What Josephus mentions, what he's speaking on, is not a temple. Is if someone, like, let's just say a funeral service, right? During a funeral service, because of that loved one passing away, that's what the red heifer was for, to make sure all those that had to interact with the loss of a loved one, whether they're in the time of mourning or whatever, guess what? The red heifer was to what? Make them clean. That's all that's all it is. That's all it is. That's all it is. The red heifer is not people, because guess what? We're not dealing with human sacrifice. Let me say that again. The red heifer is not a people. The red heifer is a actual female cow. Let me say that again, family. I just gave the scriptures on it. Let's not make it complicated. It's not a symbol of anything but exactly what I just laid out. Let me say this again. The red heifer, because I see someone posted here, is the red heifer actually the people? No, the red heifer is not a people. The red heifer is actually a cow, a female cow used for purification of who? Anyone that had any interaction with the dead. That's all. That's all it was used for the most part. That's the primary use. When someone died, guess what? And when we start dealing with Miriam, because Josephus mentions Miriam, the red heifer was used as a part of purifying all those, including Moses, that mourned for her. That's all it is. That's all it is. That's what it was used for. Let's continue here. Like I said, family, it's pretty straightforward. It has nothing to do with people in terms of being symbolic of any individual. It's all about exactly what it's being used for. So if this concept had been a significant part of the so-called Jewish oral tradition, it is reasonable to expect that historians like Josephus or Philo, would have mentioned it, but they don't. If this was supposed to be part of the so-called Jewish oral traditions, because this is what the so-called Talmud is supposed to be based upon, oral traditions, which is an absolute lie. If this concept had been a significant part of earlier so-called Jewish oral tradition, it is reasonable to expect that historians like Josephus and Philo would have mentioned it, but they don't. They make no mention of it. This absence supports the idea that the connection between the red heifer and the rebuilding of the temple is a later rabbinic interpretation rather than an ancient oral tradition. Guess what? It has nothing to do with the ancient Israelites. This is a false teaching of some so-called oral tradition that did not exist during the time of Christ, did not exist during the time of Moses, so did not exist at all among them.
Listen, Genesis chapter 11, verse 10 explains the genealogy of Shem. Shem was a black man in Africa. If you repeat this back, Genesis 14, verse 13, Abraham steps on the scene. Being a descendant of Shem, which is a fact, means Abraham too was Abraham, born in the city of a black man, called Nimrod, grandson of Ham. Ham had 4 sons. One was named Canaan. Here, let me do some explaining. Abraham, Isaac was Jacob had 12 sons, for real, and these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these were the children of Israel. According to Genesis chapter 10, these
Somebody better